A $100,000 fund account, something that can cost you around $400, can literally change your life. So before we even talk about anything, just look at this. I've now done over $57,000 in payouts from fanatic. And if you have been watching my videos for a while, you've probably noticed my overall payout numbers keep going up, and it all started from a single $100,000 fanatic account. Right now, I'm consistently pulling 1 to 2% every 2 weeks, almost like clockwork. And I've already hit max allocation, and I've been scaled up multiple times last year. And I'm not showing you this to brag, I'm showing you this because everything I'm about to break down in this video is not theory. It's not something I read in a book, it's something what's actually working, with real payouts hitting my bank account. So let's actually break this down properly. A lot of people chase fanatic accounts without ever stopping to understand what the numbers actually mean in real life. If you have a $100,000 fanatic account and you make 4% on that account, that's $4,000. Now pause for a second and think about that in real life terms. How many months of rent is that? How many bills, flights, groceries, or family expenses could that cover? For most people, $4,000 is a serious amount of money. But let's slow this down even more, because most traders immediately start thinking about making 10% every month, which is not realistic for most people. So let's say you only manage to make 10% every 3 months. That's still $10,000 in a quarter. Spread that out, and that's about $3,300 per month on average. Over a year, that's $40,000. And remember, that's from one single $100,000 funded account, without scaling, without gambling, and without over trading. Now imagine you get a little more consistent. Let's say you manage to make 10% every 2 months. That's 6 times a year. 6 times $10,000 is $60,000 per year. That's about $5,000 per month. And this is the money you can use to live, save, reinvest, or simply buy back your time. But here's the part most people miss. This isn't about chasing the maximum return. It's about building a model of consistency. Because once you understand this model, scaling becomes logical. Have $1 million in total funding doesn't require a new strategy. It requires the same discipline repeated over and over again. And that's when it stops being a dream and starts becoming real income. This is the model, this is the math, and this is why a $100,000 fanatic account can genuinely change your life if you treat it the right way. And one of the biggest problems traders have is that the money doesn't feel real. When it's just number moving on a screen, it almost feels like a video game. You're looking at your phone, maybe you're at $2,000, $3,000, and sometimes even $4,000 on one single trade. But because it's just a number on a screen, your brain doesn't fully register what that actually means. And the same thing happens with losses. You might burn through $3,000 or $5,000 of drawdown and think, okay, it's just part of trading. But imagine pulling $5,000 in cash out of your bank account and giving it to someone. That suddenly feels very different. When you can use it to pay rent, groceries, or take care of your family, or simply buy something that you have always wanted. That's why payouts are so important. The money only becomes real when it actually lands in your bank account. And this is why you need a system for your payouts. Every time you get paid, the first thing you do is set aside money for savings. Then from the remaining amount, split it to 50-50. Half of it is for you to enjoy the rewards of your work, and another half goes back to the business, new challenges, scaling accounts, or building more capital. And that simple structure is how a $100,000 funded account slowly turns into real financial progress. And there's something even more important than making money, and that's keeping the account. Because the worst thing that can happen is finally getting funded and losing the account because you risk too much. That's why I strongly recommend using a risk management for prop firms. If you haven't watched that risk management video I made for prop firms, go watch that video on my YouTube channel. I'll also drop the link in the description. On a $100,000 funded account, I simply believe that you should never ever risk more than 0.5% or 1% per trade, which is about $500 to $1,000 maximum. And think about it like this. If you can consistently make $500 on a single trade, does that already improve your life? For most people, the answer is yes. And for me personally, where I'm from, the average monthly salary is around $90. So one $500 trade is basically 5 months of work for someone with that average monthly salary. When you start looking at it that way, you realize something important. Even what seems like small trading can actually have a huge impact in real life. That could mean going to a restaurant without worrying about the bill, buying better groceries, paying for something you've wanted for a long time, or simply having extra streams of income that didn't exist before. Of course, we all want bigger numbers eventually, but the goal at the beginning isn't chasing huge wins. The goal is getting funded and staying funded. That's why the risk management matters so much, because protecting the account is what allows everything else to grow over time. One 100K funded account is already enough. Enough to focus, enough to build consistency, and enough to start generating real payouts. Once you truly understand that, everything about trading becomes much simpler, because now your job isn't chasing bigger accounts. It's not stuck in 5 different prop firms, and it's definitely not rushing to get funded with $200,000 or hitting max allocation right away. Your job becomes very simple. Pass one challenge, get one funded account, and focus on consistent payouts. Just do that one thing properly. For me personally, I've been managing $700,000 in funded accounts for months without failing a single one. Could I scale that to 1 million or 2 million in funding? Yes, easily. But timing matters. For the past year, I deliberately stayed around that level because the goal wasn't chasing bigger numbers. The goal was protecting consistency. And this is where most traders go wrong. They jump straight into multiple $100,000 accounts, $200,000 accounts, multiple prop firms, multiple challenges, all at the same time. But they have never even proven to themselves that they can consistently extract money from one account. That's the real milestone. It doesn't matter if you start with a smaller challenge first, $10,000, $25,000, or whatever it is. The goal should always be to eventually reach one solid $100,000 funded account and stay there until you can consistently get paid. Because once you can do that, you have already solved the hardest part of trading. From there, scaling becomes optional, more capital becomes optional, and luxury becomes optional. But the most important thing, freedom is already within reach. At the end of the day, it doesn't really matter whether you're trading with a $10,000 account or $25,000 account or $50,000 account. Any money you can successfully withdraw from a funded account is a proof of concept. Proof that trading works, proof that your strategy works, proof that all the hours you spend learning, testing, and improving are finally paying off. And this is why I strongly believe something very simple. No payout is a small payout. It doesn't matter if the payout is $50 or $100 or even $10,000. If the money came out of the account and landed in your bank account, that means you did something right. That's the mindset shift most traders need to make. Instead of saying, I want to be a millionaire from trading, start with something much simpler. Focus on replacing your income first. Focus on building a small stream of income through trading, because when you think this way, something important changes. You stop chasing huge trades. You stop staring at a floating profit and thinking, maybe I can squeeze a little more. And instead, you start locking in payouts. You start treating your funded account like a business. Once you combine that mindset with proper risk management and a consistent execution, that's when the real proof of concept appears. That's when trading stops feeling like a dream and starts becoming a real source of income. And that's exactly how a $100,000 funded account can genuinely change your life. Now, if you want to see the exact risk management system that I personally use for my funded accounts, I made a full video breaking it down step by step. You can watch it right here. Now, if you want to learn what I'm personally looking for in the markets every single day, and plus ask me questions directly, you can check out my free Discord community in the description below. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Ciao, ciao.